Namaste, Jai Bharat. When you light a lamp and keep, the light spreads. Light spreads in all possible directions, and whosoever is on its way is benefited by light. Knowledge and civilizations are also like that. Civilizations also you can hide light. Similarly, you can't hide civilizations, and the civilization that is possibly thought as hidden is a contradiction in terms. So, Bharat is undoubtedly the first civilization in the entire world. We don't really know when it began, actually, and it's difficult to know, not possible to know, as a matter of fact. And the civilization spread. As I understand that, all world civilizations used to know one another and must also have been connected to one another in some sense. But they knew one another, at least the scholars knew one another. Definitely, I'm speaking about scholars and scholarships of civilizations, they knew one another. It is pointless to doubt that. Now, I'm just picking up one example of Bharat and Greece, and that's all. How Bharat and Greece were connected through civilization. I have some indicators, and that's it. Rest you can make conjecture. Look at the Hellenistic religion of Greece, and look at the Sanatana Dharma of Bharat. Look at the deities, look at the names, even look at the philosophy of the idea of good, demiurge, etc. The parallels that you find in Sanatana Dharma shall be striking. Such striking parallels. That's one thing. Second thing, there are two kinds of philosophers in Greece. There is a set of pre-Socratic philosophers who are not much systematic, and post-Socrates philosophers, including Socrates. And we have only three people in that group: that Socrates, then his student Plato, and his student Aristotle, and that's it. Then the Roman conquest takes place, and after the Roman conquest, Christianization takes place, and philosophy died in Greece. Then the scholars are said to have run to Iran at that time of the Roman conquest, where a Hindu was ruling Iran, Darius. The philosophers and scholars had gone to Iran, and that's further nothing is in record about them. But they left Greece. The scholars ran away with their books. And here I pick up one philosopher, that's Plato. Plato has written dialogues. Now, the writing dialogue method is originally found in Upanishads. I am not claiming that the Upanishadic method of writing had influenced Plato, and from Plato to Aristotle and so on. I am not claiming that. But you see for yourself, and if you think it's possible, you think so. If you think it's not possible, it's up to you. Because I don't want to make any tall claims, any claims at all. I'm trying to present things in front of you as things are. So the Upanishadic way of writing is either through dialogues between characters or through narratives of stories. These are two methods. Because the Upanishads have an explicit purpose of simplifying the deep knowledge contained within Vedas. To simplify that, for common people, Upanishads resorted to the method of dialogues. And that is a method which you find in Plato and other Greek philosophers who wrote dialogues in their time. And of course, the dialogue method is not followed by anyone else later, especially after Descartes and modern philosophy, except David Hume. He must have followed it from Greek thinking, but no one else. Now, one of the dialogues that Plato wrote is the Republic. You see, something is common among the Greek scholars and Greek philosophers. They were mostly political philosophers. They wanted to think in terms of ideal state, how a state should be, and to some extent how a statesman should be, etc. etc. To some extent only. Mostly they were concerned about statecraft and that kind of things, not into other areas of philosophy like metaphysics. They're all there, they're all implied, but they were not that focusing on metaphysics, ontology, epistemology, etc. And also, of course, moral things, moral philosophy. They were not that much, they were focusing mostly on statecraft. So Plato wrote this very famous book, Republic, where he was trying to look for an ideal state. He called the ideal state as Callipolis, not utopia. But then later, of course, people started calling it utopia for a different reason. He based his ideal state on his theory of soul. He has a theory of soul. Plato says that soul has three parts: the topmost part, middle part, and lower part. Topmost part is called as the part of reason. Middle part is called part of spirit. Lowermost part is called as part of appetite. And he divides society on the basis of this theory of soul. He says there are some people in whom the rational part is more developed and they become philosophers and they should be the kings. The spirit part is more developed in some people, and other two parts are dormant, where he says that they should be the soldiers. And the lowest part, the appetite part, he says, wherein some people the appetite part is more developed and they should become traders. And he also talks about the situation where there must be some people in whom none of the part is developed. They become the helpers or slaves in his language. Then he says society should be divided in this manner, that in those people where you find the rational part more developed, they are to be called as philosophers and they should be ruling. He calls them as philosopher king. And then he says the people in whom the spirit part is more developed, they should become the soldiers. And in those, the appetite part is more developed and other two parts are dormant. They become traders, cultivators, etc. And those people in whom all the three parts of soul becomes dormant, they can only help and they become the slaves. He divides the society into four and says that is Callipolis, that's an ideal state. And later some scholars thought it as impossible, so they termed it as utopia, and later utopia becomes synonym for something which is impossible and spurious or foolish. Now this is Plato's theory. Now we look at the Varnashrama Dharma of the Vedic society. Varnashrama Dharma divides society into four classes, not on the basis of a theory of soul, which Plato didn't know, but on the basis of individual qualities one may have. In a way, Plato's soul development theory is almost akin to the abilities of one that one possesses. A scholar becomes Brahmana. A Kshatriya performs as warrior. He has something called a Chhatra Virya. And a Vaishya is a trader, and a Shudra is a helper. No one is given extra feather on his hat. That is how your mind, your abilities are designed. And it's not hard and fast rule that you are a Kshatriya, so your son should be Kshatriya. Not necessary. Your son may be different, and his profession will be different. It will depend on the qualities he possesses. In Plato, he would have said it as a theory. He would have depended on the theories of soul, but in Bharat, it is all the abilities and qualities which one picks up and possesses, which he may lose, and he will lose his varna. Someone may acquire a fresh different qualities and he would go from one varna to the other. The changing of varna was normal and need not be specified more as something to celebrate. That happens only now when you convert varna into caste, which really is not the case. Now, on the one hand, I spoke about Hellenistic religion, which is akin to Sanatana Dharma. On the other hand, I just compared Varnashrama Dharma with Plato's Republic and his Callipolis, that's utopia. If you see some striking similarities between these two, It's definite that Veda Upanishadic knowledge tradition is much before Greek philosophy, Greek civilization existence. You can read in between lines and think whatever you feel like. Similar things you can find with the Mayas, the Aztecs, or the Sumerians, the Babylonians, anyone in the world. If you dig deep, you will find this similarity. Now it's up to you to say or not say that who used to be Vishwaguru in the real sense of the term. We meet again with some other truth. Till then, Namaste, Jai Bharat and Jai Shri Ram.